Most men will never admit it out loud, yet millions silently carry the same frustration, the same anxiety, and the same question that echoes in the privacy of their own minds. Why can't I last longer? Premature ejaculation is not simply a physical issue. It is an emotional weight that quietly chips away at confidence, intimacy, and self-worth. But here is the truth that changes everything. This is not a life sentence, and it is not a flaw in your masculinity. It is a condition with science behind it, solutions behind it, and hope behind it. When you understand that your body is guided by biology, chemistry, and neurological pathways, you stop blaming yourself and start empowering yourself. That shift alone is powerful. In the world of modern medicine, experts like Dr. Mohit Khera have emphasized that men's health must be approached with clarity, compassion, and evidence, not shame. And that is exactly what we are doing today. We are not relying on myths, old locker room advice, or internet rumors. We are focusing on 5 evidence-backed techniques that have been medically validated and studied, methods that target the nervous system, hormonal balance, psychological conditioning, and muscular control. When you look at premature ejaculation through a scientific lens, you realize it often involves heightened penile sensitivity, increased serotonin imbalance, performance anxiety, or conditioned rapid response patterns developed over years. The body learns patterns, and what the body learns, the body can retrain. That realization is empowering because it means you are not broken. You are simply programmed in a way that can be reprogrammed. Research shows that specific behavioral techniques, targeted pelvic floor strengthening, selective serotonin reuptake strategies, topical desensitizing treatments, and structured start-stop conditioning can significantly increase control and duration. These are not gimmicks. These are clinically evaluated strategies supported by peer-reviewed data. But knowledge without action changes nothing. You must understand that progress requires consistency. Just as building muscle in the gym takes repetition and discipline, retraining your sexual response requires patience and structure. There is no overnight miracle, but there is measurable improvement when science meets commitment. And here is the deeper message. Lasting longer is not only about performance, it is about confidence, emotional presence, and mastery over your own physiology. When you begin to take control of this area of your life, something shifts internally. You begin to stand taller. You begin to speak with more certainty. You begin to feel aligned with your potential. This journey is not just about intimacy. It is about self-leadership. It is about reclaiming power in a space where you once felt powerless. And as we move forward into these 5 techniques, understand this foundation. Your body is capable of change. Your brain is capable of adaptation. And your confidence is capable of restoration. Now, here is where most men make a critical mistake. They look for one single magic fix, one pill, one trick, one shortcut that promises instant control. Yet biology does not operate on shortcuts. Real transformation happens when multiple systems are addressed together. The first evidence-backed technique involves behavioral conditioning, specifically the start, stop, and squeeze methods, which retrain the ejaculatory reflex through controlled stimulation and intentional pauses. Clinical studies show that this method strengthens neural awareness and builds tolerance to arousal levels, teaching the brain to recognize the point of inevitability before it arrives. The second technique centers on pelvic floor muscle training, particularly strengthening the pubococcygeus muscle, which plays a direct role in ejaculatory control. When this muscle is weak, control diminishes. When it is trained consistently through structured contractions, measurable improvement occurs. Research has demonstrated that men who commit to pelvic floor exercises over several weeks significantly extend intravaginal latency time, sometimes doubling or tripling their duration. The third approach involves topical anesthetics designed to reduce penile hypersensitivity. These medically formulated desensitizing agents decrease overstimulation without eliminating pleasure, allowing better control over the reflex arc responsible for climax. The fourth method focuses on pharmacological strategies, particularly selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, which increase serotonin activity in the brain. Higher serotonin levels are associated with delayed ejaculation, and multiple randomized clinical trials confirm their effectiveness when prescribed and monitored appropriately. The fifth, and often underestimated technique, addresses psychological conditioning. Performance anxiety, stress, and anticipatory fear can accelerate arousal through heightened sympathetic nervous system activation. Cognitive behavioral strategies, mindfulness training, and controlled breathing techniques calm the nervous system, shifting the body from fight or flight mode into parasympathetic balance, where control is stronger and arousal progresses more gradually. But here is the suspenseful truth that many overlook. Even when these methods are scientifically validated, they will fail without consistency and integration. The body does not respond to occasional effort, it responds to repeated signals. Imagine committing to pelvic floor exercises daily, practicing start-stop conditioning weekly, incorporating mindfulness during intimacy, and consulting a physician for evidence-based pharmacological support when necessary. That combination changes outcomes dramatically. This is where discipline meets science. This is where frustration transforms into measurable progress. And yet, there is something even deeper beneath these techniques. When you begin applying multiple strategies together, you are not merely delaying ejaculation. You are retraining your nervous system, recalibrating your sensitivity thresholds, and rebuilding confidence layer by layer. The brain adapts to repetition. The muscles adapt to resistance. The mind adapts to belief. That synergy creates momentum. And once momentum begins, doubt loses its grip. You start noticing subtle changes first, then stronger control, then increased endurance. What once felt uncontrollable becomes manageable. What once felt embarrassing becomes empowering. The difference between men who struggle for years and those who overcome this challenge is not luck. It is structured action, rooted in medical evidence and executed with patience. And when you combine these 5 techniques intentionally rather than randomly, you activate the full spectrum of physiological and psychological control that your body was always capable of developing. The final and most powerful realization is this: premature ejaculation is not a verdict on your masculinity. It is a signal from your body asking for guidance, structure, and leadership. When you choose to address it with evidence-backed techniques instead of avoidance, you step into a new identity built on discipline and self-respect. Too many men suffer in silence because pride convinces them that seeking knowledge is weakness. Yet the opposite is true. Strength is the willingness to confront what challenges you and commit to growth. When leaders in men's health, including Dr. Mohit Khera, speak about sexual performance, they emphasize that it is not isolated from overall wellness. Hormonal balance, cardiovascular health, sleep quality, stress management, and mental resilience all influence sexual control. That means this journey is larger than lasting longer. It is about optimizing the systems that define your vitality. Imagine what happens when you combine pelvic floor strength, behavioral retraining, appropriate medical therapy, and psychological calm with improved fitness, better nutrition, and restorative sleep. You are no longer treating a symptom. You are elevating your entire physiology. Confidence begins to return not because of a single successful experience, but because you know you're in control of your process. That internal certainty radiates outward. Your posture shifts. Your voice steadies. Your relationships deepen. Intimacy becomes less about anxiety and more about connection. And here is the profound truth. Mastery over your sexual response mirrors mastery over your life. The same discipline required to pause before climax is the discipline required to pause before reacting in anger, before quitting a goal, before surrendering to doubt. Control in one domain strengthens control in others. That is why this transformation is so powerful. It is not about ego. It is about alignment. It is about becoming a man who understands his body, respects science, and applies effort consistently. There will be moments of frustration, and progress may feel gradual, but gradual progress compounded over time becomes extraordinary change. Trust the process. Trust the data. Trust your capacity to adapt. When you integrate these 5 evidence-backed techniques intentionally and remain consistent, you create measurable, lasting improvement. You prove to yourself that challenges can be solved with strategy rather than shame. And once you solve this, you carry that belief into every other obstacle in your life. You are not defined by temporary setbacks. You are defined by your response to them. Take ownership today. Commit to action today. Begin the retraining. Strengthen the muscles. Calm the mind. Consult qualified professionals. And build the confidence that comes from disciplined effort. Your transformation is not only possible, it is scientifically achievable. If you are benefiting from our topics, please subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early.